Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So a few weeks ago, towards the beginning of quarantine, I decided to try something new, something that's been a little intimidating to me for a while, and that's a double cut crease. And it's a super dramatic look. There's a lot of steps. Stay with me, trust me, we're in this together, okay? I'm gonna get you there. You go through a couple of power through moments where it looks a little crazy. Like all dramatic looks go through at least one power through moment where you're like, what the hell have I gotten myself into? When it gets to those points, my best advice is to just keep blending. Also, like I said in my Foxy Eye tutorial, I will link that here if you haven't seen it. I love that look. Anyway, like I said in that tutorial, if this is something new for you, don't try new products or new brushes or just new to you stuff. Don't try new stuff and a new technique at the same time. If you decide to do this look with me, use your tried and trues. Use what you have that you know works for you, okay? That piece of advice works for any makeup look. When you're trying something new, use your ride or die products. Those products that you know without a doubt are your no fails, okay? I'm gonna quit rambling. Let's just get into the tutorial, okay? If you want to see how I got this awesome double cut crease super dramatic look, keep watching. Okay, I've already primed my eyes using MAC's Painterly Paint Pot, and now I'm going to start sketching out that exaggerated crease using ground brown eyeshadow and a super small brush. Now to do this, you'll want to look straight ahead in the mirror and go above where your natural crease is. You definitely want to go a little higher because you want to be able to see this when your eye is open. And don't forget, we're doing a double crease, so especially on that outer edge, you want to make sure that we have enough room to create that second crease. And you'll notice I'm starting on the inner part of the eye and working my way out. That's just how it's easiest for me to find the shape that I need to draw that exaggerated crease. And also having the brow done first really helps me to create that shape that I want. I don't have as much guesswork to do whenever I have the brow already in place. Next, I'm using the shade HAUX from MAC on a flat brush, and I'm running that right on top of where I just laid down that ground brown shade. That's just going to help blend it out a little more and just help soften those edges a little bit and help diffuse that color. Instead of starting from the lightest to the darkest like we normally do, we're starting from the darkest and working our way lighter, if that makes sense. But I'm just going over that exact shape I created. It's going to get a little bigger and it's going to start looking a little crazy. That's okay. Don't panic. We're going to clean it up and it's going to look fine. This is the shade Swiss Chocolate, and I switched to a pencil brush, and again I'm going right over that same shape that I created with the darkest brown shade. And if it's looking a little carried away and getting a little close to the temple, that's fine. Just clean it up with your finger. We'll clean it up with concealer, whatever, later on. No problem. I'm doing that here. Next, after I get that Swiss Chocolate shade blended perfectly, I'm going back into that same flat brush I used with HAUX, but I have nothing else on the brush, and I'm just making sure there are no harsh lines between those three shades. I'm going back into the shade Ground Brown, and I'm going to redefine that darkest shade. Sometimes when we're layering up the shades, we lose a little bit of that intensity. So I'm back to the smallest brush and the darkest shade, and I'm just going right back over that shape that I created the first time. This is the shade Wedge from MAC, and it's the lightest shade that I've used so far. And I've just got that on a fluffy brush, and I'm going on top of everything that I've laid down so far. This won't take away any of the intensity. It's just going to make sure that there are no harsh lines between any of the shades that I've laid down so far. I just want a really pretty gradient, but I still want it super intense. And now I'm using the e.l.f. Hydrating, oh my gosh, what's the name of this? The e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer, and I'm cutting the crease. And I'm going to carve it all the way up to the deepest shade in that gradient. So all of the transition shades that you see on the bottom of the gradient, we're going to cover that up with the concealer. So the transition shades on the top, you'll still see, but the underneath, it's going to go concealer to the darkest shade. I'm using a super flat brush to put this concealer on the lid. This is a MAC 212, and if you need a brush to cut the crease with or to carve out a brow, there is no better brush than a MAC 212. It is fantastic. And if you were worried about that shape on the outer corner looking a little wonky, this is where you fix it with that concealer. See, I'm shaping it up on that outer corner now and making sure that that line underneath is nice and smooth and connected and no jaggedy or spragglies or any of the leaves or craziness looking things, right? Okay, this is the shade Vanilla from MAC, and I'm taking that on a huge flat shader brush and setting the inner part of the lid where I just laid down that concealer, probably like the inner third of the lid. And I'm also going to take it not on the side of the brush where it's so big, but on the edge of the brush where it's a little thinner, and just put that shade underneath that darkest, like where the darkest shade eyeshadow meets the concealer, because that's going to stay bare. That's going to be our second crease. Now I'm going in with another flat definer brush. It's identical to the one I used to carve the crease, and the shade Brun from MAC. And I'm starting from the outer corner of my lid, and I'm creating a triangle shape, like a super exaggerated wing on that outer corner. I'm matching the shape to that top crease that we created initially. And I feel like this is another one of those moments in the look that you just kind of have to power through. You're gonna have moments in here where it looks a little crazy and you're like, not sure where I'm going with this. Just keep pushing. It's fine. You can fix anything. It's just makeup. Okay? Once I get this shape on where it's pretty much even to the top crease that I created, I'm going to start filling in the outer part of that triangle with the shade Brun that's already on the brush. Then I'll fill in the next part of that triangle with the shade Ground Brown and take that to meet the outer part of that lid. Now I'm going in with the shade Swiss Chocolate, and I'm taking that from that outer corner where the shade Ground Brown ends to about where my iris ends on that outer corner. So that's going to be that like outer V on my lid shape. And I'm careful not to bring it into my real crease. I want to keep that area of concealer with that exaggerated crease clear. Next, I switch to a pencil brush in the shade HAUX, and I'm taking that from the shade Swiss Chocolate over to meet that vanilla shade that we put on the front of the lid. That's going to create that really pretty gradient in that wing shape that we created. To finish off the lid, I'm going back to the same flat brush that I used to lay down the vanilla shade with nothing else on it, and just blending over that seam where the shade HAUX meets the shade vanilla. That way there's no harsh lines and it's just a really pretty gradient. Now I'm using an oil-free makeup remover to clean up that wing shape. I don't want it quite as thick as it was, but I want to make sure that I'm using an oil-free makeup remover. That way the makeup I'm about to lay down sticks to the skin underneath. Now I have a pencil brush in the shade Swiss Chocolate, and I'm running that under the lower lash line from the outer corner all the way to the inner corner, and I like a really smoked out lower lash line. That's why I used a pencil brush. I'm switching to the shade Ground Brown and a super flat brush that's going to keep things a little more snug to the lower lash line. I'm using MAC's LIQUIDLAST liner on the lid, and I'm creating a really thin liner on the actual lid and just a little wing to help exaggerate that shape on the outer corner a little more. If you need a good waterproof liner, you can't find a better one than LIQUIDLAST. It is fantastic. It is the best for allergy season, y'all. I've primed my face using the e.l.f. Luminous Putty Primer, and now I'm going to use the MILANI 2-in-1 Conceal and Perfect Foundation. I am between self-tan shades, so as usual, I am mixing foundation shades. This is probably my favorite drugstore foundation. If you need a good full coverage, long wearing drugstore foundation, MILANI's it. The shades run pretty neutral. Most of them don't run really pink. Some of them, if anything, may run a little yellow, but I love it. No complaints. I've been using it for over a year now. I'm using the e.l.f. CAMO Hydrating Concealer again all over my face, nose, around the mouth, under the eyes, and I'm going to blend that out using the same damp e.l.f. Beauty Sponge. Because this is a hydrating concealer, I normally blend under my eyes last. That gives those moisturizers in the concealer time to absorb, and you're left blending out more pure pigment, and it gives you a little better coverage that way. I'm also taking a lot of care around the eyes and making sure to keep that really sharp line on the outer corner and keeping that definition that we've worked so hard to create. I'm going to set my under eye using MAC's Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Light. Before I powder the rest of the face, I'm going to use my Anastasia Beverly Hills Cream Contour Kit and cream contour my face. I did skip highlighting this time using the kit, but I have been liking the cream contour, which is crazy for me because I have been so anti-cream contour for years, y'all. Don't hate me. Sometimes it's nice to change my mind. I'm a girl, it's my prerogative. I'm going to set the rest of my face using MAC's Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Medium. And I take care to press that into the skin, not circle or buff, because I don't want to unblend my foundation and concealer. For bronzer, I'm using MAC's Mineralized Skin Finish in the shade Gimme Sun, and I'm just running that right on top of where I normally contour and around the edges of my face, my hairline, on the sides of my nose. Really, everywhere that I contour, I also bronze. For blush, I'm using the shade Dusty Rose from NYX. I hope you can still get this. It is a beautiful drugstore blush and one of my favorites. I've had it for years. It's been so long since I've pulled it out and I've forgotten how much I loved it. I'm going to go back to my bronzer brush with nothing else on it and just go over that entire cheek area to make sure there are no harsh lines. To highlight, I'm using Makeup Forever Starlit Powder in shade 13, and oh my god, every time I use this, after I haven't used it for a while, I am shook, y'all. Look at that glow. Just look. It's so pretty. I love it. And I'm going to do this on my nose. I didn't do the tip of my nose, just a little on the bridge because I didn't want too much. But I also used this to highlight the inner corner of the eye. Just because the eye was so matte, I thought it needed a little pop of something. Gorgeous. Love it. I have a backup of this in my drawer from when I run out of this one now. Next, I'm using a waterproof eyeliner in the waterline. This one's by Thrive Cosmetics. And I'm going to line the lower waterline and also tightline. Look away for about 20 seconds if you think this is nasty. I kind of do. I wouldn't blame you. For mascara, I'm using L'Oreal Voluminous Carbon Black. It's fantastic. Oh my gosh. This is like the OG best drugstore mascara ever. Look at that volume. And it doesn't smudge and it wears well. God, I love it. Oh, it's so good. Okay. Lots of mascara on the top and bottom. For lashes, I'll be using the House of Lashes Iconic Lashes. How many times can I say lashes? Don't take a shot every time I do. Lashes, lashes, lashes. Before I do my lashes, I went ahead and primed my lips using MAC's Prep and Prime Lip, just because this works best if you let it sit for a few seconds. It really lets the primer get tacky. That way your lip products have something to stick to. So I prime my lips, then I do my lashes, then I go back and finish my lipstick. So you see me putting on the Iconic lashes now, and now I'm going to line my lips using WHIRL lip pencil from MAC, the best liner to ever have been invented. Like, if you need just a little oomph to overline on your lips, it's beautiful. I've worn this liner with reds and pinks and nudes and by itself, and God, it's gorgeous. For lipstick, I'll be using the ColourPop liquid lipstick in the shade Trap. I can't remember if this is a matte liquid or a satin. The name has worn off the side of mine, but I love this color. It's not too dark. I tried on another color initially and it was too peach, but this ended up being perfect. It was exactly what I was looking for. So that's it. I hope you guys like this look. I love it. So this is the completed look. I hope you like it. I know it was a lot of steps. That's why I decided to do the voiceover in this tutorial, just because it flows a little smoother. So I like the voiceovers like this. Let me know what you like in the comments below. Let me know if you try this look. It is a super dramatic look. Definitely save it for your special occasions, or I mean, I'm about to go chill on the couch because hashtag still quarantined. Thanks for watching. Thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you next time.